In a quiet, forgotten corner of the world, nestled beside a shimmering lake, lived a flock of ducks. They were a happy, boisterous bunch, spending their days paddling, preening, and quacking about the day's finest water weeds. Among them was a young duck named Pip. Pip was just like all the others, with fluffy brown feathers and a cheerful disposition, except for one tiny, extraordinary detail. Tucked away beneath his right wing was a single, brilliant feather, spun from pure, shimmering gold. Pip's mother had told him it was a gift from the sun, a sign of a special destiny. But as a duckling, Pip didn't feel very special. The golden feather was heavy, and it made his wing feel clumsy. While the other ducklings glided effortlessly across the water, Pip often struggled, his golden wing pulling him slightly to one side. The other young ducks didn't mean to be unkind, but they'd often quack, "Hurry up, Pip, why are you so slow?" Pip would just tuck his head, hiding the strange, shiny feather as best he could, wishing he were just like everyone else. As the years passed, the ducks of the lake faced a harsh winter. The once abundant weeds grew scarce, and the fish hid deep beneath the icy water. The flock grew hungry and despondent. The elder duck, with his wise, knowing eyes, gathered everyone. He spoke of an old legend, a story passed down through generations, about a hidden grove on the other side of the formidable Blackwood forest. This grove, the legend said, was warmed by a secret spring and bloomed with food all year round. It was a paradise for ducks, but the legend also carried a warning. The path through the Blackwood was guarded by a cunning old fox who had outsmarted every creature that dared to cross his territory. Many had tried to reach the grove, none had ever returned. A heavy silence fell over the flock. The journey seemed impossible, the risk too great. Hope began to dwindle like the setting sun. That night, Pip couldn't sleep. He looked at his flock, their feathers ruffled from the cold, their bellies empty. He thought about the little ducklings, too weak to even quack for food. And then he looked at his golden feather, glimmering softly in the moonlight. For the first time, he didn't see it as a burden. He saw it as a spark of light in the darkness. What if this was his special destiny? With a deep breath that filled his small chest, Pip waddled to the elder duck. "I will go," he announced, his voice trembling but firm. "I will find the sunken grove." The elder duck looked at him, his gaze soft. He had seen the golden feather when Pip was just a hatchling. "The path is dangerous, young one," he warned. "The fox is cleverer than any creature I have known. I may not be the strongest or the fastest," Pip replied, "but I have to try." For all of us, the next morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the sky, the flock gathered to see Pip off. His mother nuzzled him one last time, whispering, "Let your light shine, my brave little duck." With their hopeful quacks echoing behind him, Pip turned and faced the dark, looming silhouette of the Blackwood forest. The forest was even more daunting up close. Twisted trees loomed like silent giants, their branches blocking out the sun. The air was still and heavy. Pip walked for what felt like hours, his heart thumping in his chest. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig made him jump. Soon he heard a smooth, silky voice from the shadows. Well, what have we here?" "A little duck, all alone in my woods." Out from behind a great oak stepped the fox. He was sleek and red, with eyes that glittered with a dangerous intelligence. Pip froze, his first instinct to flee, but he remembered the hungry faces of his flock and stood his ground. "I am on my way to the sunken grove," Pip said, trying to sound braver than he felt. The fox chuckled, a low, rumbling sound. "The sunken grove, many have sought it. They all ended up as my dinner, but I'm feeling generous today. I'll make you a deal. I will ask you 3 riddles. If you answer them correctly, I will show you the path. If you fail, well, you'll stay here with me." For lunch, Pip's mind raced. He wasn't known for being clever, but he had no choice. He nodded. "I accept," the fox grinned, showing a row of sharp teeth. "First riddle. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I? Pip thought hard. Cities without houses, mountains without trees. He looked down at the forest floor, at the pebbles and dirt. He thought of the maps the elder duck sometimes drew in the mud. Then it clicked. A map, he quacked. The fox's grin faltered for a second. Humph, lucky guess. Very well. Second riddle. What has to be broken before you can use it? Broken before you can use it. Pip thought of the shells of the river snails he loved to eat. You had to break them to get to the good part. But then he thought of his own birth, pecking his way out of his shell. An egg, he declared. The fox's eyes narrowed. He was not used to being outsmarted, especially by a duck. One more, little duck, and this one has stumped the wisest of owls. I am always hungry. I must always be fed. The finger I lick will soon turn red. What am I? Pip was truly stumped. He thought of hunger, of the cold, of danger. He imagined the fox's sharp teeth. He thought about the color red. His gaze fell upon a flickering torch lichen on a nearby tree, its glow casting dancing shadows. The lichen was consuming the wood, slowly turning it to ash. It was always hungry, and its touch. The flame, its fire, Pip choked. A snarl twisted the fox's face. He had been beaten. Fine, he hissed. A deal is a deal. The path is that way. He pointed a claw toward an almost invisible trail hidden behind a curtain of ivy. But mark my words, duck. Our paths will cross again, and with a flick of his tail, the fox vanished back into the shadows. Pip, his heart still pounding with a mix of fear and triumph, pushed through the ivy and found the hidden path. It led him out of the oppressive darkness of the woods and into a gentle, sunlit valley. And there it was, the sunken grove. It was more beautiful than any legend could describe. A crystal-clear stream bubbled happily, steam rising from its surface. The banks were lined with the luscious, greenest weeds he had ever seen, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoms. It was a paradise, but Pip didn't waste a moment. He gathered as many seeds and nutrient-rich plants as he could carry, stuffing them into a large leaf pouch he fashioned. The journey back was just as nerve-wracking, but the thought of his flock gave him strength. He avoided the main path, remembering the fox's threat, and took a longer, safer route around the edge of the forest. When he finally emerged from the trees and saw the familiar shimmer of his home lake, a chorus of joyous quacks erupted. He had returned and he had brought food. The flock celebrated him as a hero. They feasted on the bounty from the grove, their strength and spirits renewed. From that day on, Pip was no longer the clumsy duckling ashamed of his wing. He was Pip the brave, Pip the wise. He organized expeditions to the grove, always careful to avoid the fox's territory, and taught the younger ducks how to navigate the forest's edge. His golden feather was no longer a burden, but a badge of honor, a symbol of hope. It shone brightly in the sun as he led his flock, a constant reminder that sometimes the very thing that makes you different is the thing that makes you special. It's the source of your greatest strength. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed Pip's story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.